Good morning. Welcome to Sunday morning meditation. My name is Kat, and I'm here with Brian. And we are very excited to share with you a little Dharmette and a meditation this morning. And it is the holiday season, so if you are looking for a place to give, this is a place where you can start to give back to your own heart and to the hearts of others. And we're going to focus on the aspects of the heart this morning. So I invite you to get comfortable. If you are doing something where you're moving or in action, I invite you to just pause that action for a moment and take a breath with us. And so just feel the body as it's just here on the earth. What's the gravity of the body? What's the shape of the body and the form? I invite you to feel the space around the body. And what's the space that you're in? Start to look around that space and find the coherence of your body in this space that you're in. And then take a full breath into the body and release it out. And as you release it out, release it into the space and into the earth. So it goes in all directions. The breath moves out of your body. Let's do two more like that. Inhale into the body, filling it with air. And then exhale out of the body into the space, into the earth. Last one like that. And release it out. Now, I wanted to start with this time of connecting to the heart, that as we remember embodied practice, sometimes it's helpful to put a hand on the heart and just go in to, okay, what is the softness of my heart here? What is the softness of my heart? And so as we listen to the teachings of the Buddha and some like adaptations of them to our own personal practice, I invite you to listen to that softness of heart. What are the teachings that come in? What is the Dharma, that energy that comes into the heart? And what are those other components, pieces, ideas that maybe don't serve? And how can they just start to wash away? Just like we did with the breath. It can just go in any direction, leave your experience, and leave that space of your heart so that the heart continues to feel safe and comfortable. So recently I wrote a book and I wanted to share with you some of the Buddhism aspects from that book. And the book has a lot of different spiritual traditions in it. And for each of us around the holidays, we have different ways that we can reconnect to what brings us safety, comfort, a sacred space that we create either at home or with a gathering of friends or family. And sometimes we can be up against ourselves in that safety of our home or up against others, and it can feel like there's conflict or old traumas or past wounds that come up. And this is so natural because at this time of the year, it's often a time when we are reflecting. There's nostalgia. There's a lot of emotions that are coming up. Nostalgia is an emotion of like remembering. And what was my emotional experience at that time when I was younger, or when I was hurt, or when something happened to me? And so as we're working with that nostalgia, it's maybe not all magical and bright and merry and joyful and peaceful. And so instead of running away from those traumas, I want to work with today some of the ways that we connect to the sacred roots of our own lifestyle that we've maybe cultivated throughout the year that we know are important to us, and reconnecting with those this time of year. So as Buddhists, or having a lifestyle of Buddhism, whether we have that all the time or sometimes, it is a practice around this time of year to come back to the triple gem of that internal knowing, that Buddha heart, that internal wisdom within us, of the Sangha, the community, and the Dharma, the truth or the wisdom, the teachings that surround us, that come from the source, And so as we look to the aspiration of the ascended Buddha himself and how he became enlightened, that's a huge part, or a connection back to our own heart of that Buddha nature. So those three, the triple gem, as we affirm that way of being, we also affirm our precepts, which are very important to us when we're acknowledging a sacred space to have that virtue. And so I wanted to share with you, not actually the precepts. I can put a link in the YouTube so you can go research that yourself. I'm actually going to share with you about the paramis, and these are the character aspects of the heart. So when I first learned about this teaching, it actually came through a bookmark. I had picked up a Buddhist book, and it was a beautiful bookmark. And then I had sat a retreat with Amatanasanti, who is the founder of Awakening Truth. And she had done a lot of teaching around the paramis on that retreat. And I really appreciated these perfections of the heart being this kind of compass and guide for me on that retreat. And I wanted to share them with you here. And so I'll put a link to the book with some of the paramis in there and some other resources. And as I go through these, I want you to check in, like maybe put a hand on the heart. Continue to notice your breath. Be connected to your embodied experience as I share. And so the first is to really feel the discernment, right? To understand where each of us is in the world. Our personal perception is also a perception next to others. And when we realize that, it's more than just discerning what I believe or what I understand about the situation. If there's a challenge in another relationship, whether it's with myself or with another, but it might need some space, some holding. It might need some energy around creating that connection back to your sacred or spiritual roots, something that is, somewhat of a ritual of coming into a teaching or a mantra or a way that you affirm the energy of your own spiritual foundation. And so when you do that, you can gain the discernment with this space and start to understand what are other ways of perceiving this besides my perception, right? How would the Buddha see this? How would somebody in my life that I really feel guided by today, how would they see this? And then the goodwill. So this quality of the heart that we want, what's best for ourselves and for others and for the relationship. And so as we look at goodwill in this time of year, we want there to be space around that so that our true, genuine emotions, our authentic emotions have space to be felt. And sometimes that looks like taking a break from the group so that we can feel those emotions or understand where we've been that maybe feels tender and give it, again, that holding with the discernment and the goodwill. And the third is morality. And morality is about our own internal virtue, right? Our way that we know when we look inside, is this in right regard? Is this in right response in a way that I feel I can move forward and not feel like I've harmed anyone? And you know that for yourself, what that looks like. If you're here listening to this, I know you know that for yourself. And generosity, right? So the fourth that we'll speak about is generosity of the heart. And I have a good friend who is a part of the board for Awakening Truth. And I remember being on a weekend retreat with her, and we were talking about generosity. And Dana is a traditional form of creating that generosity to support monastics, to support their livelihood because they live on the community's generosity. And I remember her sharing just how challenging it is to think about the transaction of money with the heart quality. And sometimes the transaction of the obligation to show up to a gathering because it's a holiday, like other people have told us, oh, you need to do this thing. Similar to when you come to something like this and someone says, oh, well, you need to give money. sometimes it needs to look a different way, and we need to check in with what is generosity for us. And so I just so appreciated that good friend's inquiry. Like, sometimes this isn't about the answer. Sometimes it's about the question. Like, oh, what would it be like to be generous to myself and to others this holiday season? What does that feel like? What is that experience? And does it include the softness of my heart? Does it include an opening of my heart? In what ways could it do that? And so the truthfulness is the next one. And truthfulness, right? This goes along so well with morality and generosity. They kind of weave together. And that's how these perfections of the heart really support us, is we start to see how we can lean on one. There's so many of them. When maybe we don't feel connected to one of the others. So truthfulness for you, what is truth, right? What is the truth for Buddha? What is the truth for the community? What is the truth for Dharma? So going back to that roots of your foundation and saying, what is true? What is the truthfulness? And then patience. So to continue with patience, patience is a virtue of the heart. It's an aspect of, offering a loving, kind heart. And so how can you offer that to yourself and others? I would say one of the easiest ways for me is to be gentle. So I think of that word soft and the gentle part of it. Persistence is the next one, right? So we've gone through discernment, goodwill, morality, generosity, truthfulness, patience, persistence. And this is just taking one step in front of the next. And remembering that it's just this step that's important, right? That's the persistence, that to not pause or to pause, right? To actually take the pause if we're not pausing. Maybe we're scrambling to go to the next party or to the next thing. And perhaps the persistence is to go, oh, I need to come back to myself. I do need to spend a little more time with me. Or, oh, I'm hanging out a little bit more at home than maybe there are some gatherings I could think about attending or forming or being a part of. So the persistence for you is something you kind of modulate with, right? Is it more I need to go internal or I need to go external? And then energy. Ooh, these really go together, right? Do I have the energy to go be in the mad dash at the shopping mall to get that last gift? Or does it make more sense to spend some time creating something for them at home and, really listening inward? What is the thing that would really mean a lot to them? And maybe I write them a note of an experience or something else I'm going to give them. So I'm not in that energy. And renunciation. So thinking about these three together, persistence, energy, when we renunciate and we think about those that have renunciated, the monastics, the nuns, the monks, what they've done is they've shaved their head and they've taken robes and they've, renunciated the householder life of clothing and dealing with money. And for us, that looks very different as what we call lay people or householders. And when we are still working with money and clothes and all those things, that can look like, well, what are the things we're putting in our body? Like the intoxicants, the sugar, alcohol, right? So do we limit those things so we're not getting intoxicated by some of those, the caffeine and some of those things, right? So what are the ways that maybe we have some, but we don't go to past our edge, right? Past that satiation point, right? And so what does that look like? Again, using the persistence and the energy to check in on it, right? And the truthfulness, weaving these perfections of the heart together to listen to the body in the moment. Okay, the body is just about there. So I'm going to keep my awareness till the end of this sip of this drink, whatever it is, the coffee or whatever, and I'll notice it. And the last of these, the 10th, is equanimity. And I had the pleasure of leading a compassionate witness with Holly and Brian around the election time this year. And as we reflect on the year, it can be a really valuable time to listen to what happened, listen to our fears, our anxieties, and really create space for them to be felt instead of pushing them away. And I have a beautiful Thich Nhat Hanh kind of scroll sitting, in my space. And I noticed that when I look at this, it really reminds me of equanimity. And what it says is to take an emotion that is really unsatisfactory. There's so many ways we can work with it. Turn on a beautiful piece of music, go for a walk, pull out a teaching, so just remembering that equanimity can be a joyful experience. It's not a renunciate experience. And I hope that you feel that these are qualities of the heart, and the heart can be very joyful and playful, right? These are not qualities of the mind. I'm not talking about qualities of the mind. And so when we bring equanimity, remembering that equanimity can come from these joyful aspects of the heart. It can come from, oh, I need to talk to a friend or read this book and start to unravel what is my part, or what is the play that we're in, this drama, this experience of this family member, or this challenging political storm, whatever it feels like in our experience. It can really be something that we bring some joy to the process of learning the ride of those emotions, right? Watching those emotions recede. So thank you for listening to the 10 perfections of the heart, and going inwards, and being available for that. So.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. So we're going to drop into some meditation here for about 25, 35 minutes. And so just find your seat. You may just move a little bit, just kind of, loosening the body. And been sitting for just a little bit. Just kind of loosen up. Then just kind of feeling yourself anchored however you're seated. I'm going to invite the bell 3 times. I invite you to listen to the full sound of the bell. Just like our breath, uninterrupted breathing in, staying with the breath, and uninterrupted breathing out, staying with the breath. So staying with the full sound of the bell as the sound comes from the inside and dissipates out to the outside. Breathing in a long breath. Know you are breathing in a long breath. Breathing out a long breath. Know you are breathing out a long breath. Just like the bell, stay with the full duration of the breath, feeling the full draw in and the full draw out. And this breath, and this breath. And let the breath be natural. Often shorten in the breath naturally. The breath will shorten naturally. But let the breath be natural, long, short, whatever the breath wants to be. Just observe the breath, being curious about the breath. The body always knows. It's our body intelligence. Just being with the breath, awakening that body intelligence. And feel ourselves anchored, checking in with our bodies, feeling our feet and our hands and our seat. Maybe placing a very tiny, gentle smile on our lips helps with positivity and kindness to ourselves, softening that heart quality. Breathing into the whole body. Know you're breathing into the whole body. Breathing out the whole body. Feel our space, our sacred space that this body occupies. The whole space. The sacred space. Breathing in, relaxing the whole body. Breathing out, relaxing the whole body. Just really tapping into our body intelligence and reaching into our heart qualities, these 10 perfections of the heart. What do these 10 perfections for us look like in, in feeling tones? Reaching into our higher selves, just tapping in this goodwill quality of the heart that causes no harm. Peacefulness. tapping into our higher selves, this quality of the heart. It's the integrity that arises, the happiness that arises with integrity that controls our actions, that is our morality. It's food for our heart, just tapping in into this inner happiness. Just relaxing that heart space, breathing into that heart space, and breathing out, expanding that heart space, really connecting the body, the heart, and mind, the whole energy field of our body, our sacred space. Just pausing as we, whenever the need arises, every breath is different. Our internal landscape always changing. Just tuning in. When we drop into the present moment, joy naturally arises. And just slowing everything down, the mental activity, just slowing it down. If you can envision the mental activity becoming a noise in the background that you really can't understand or hear, like a language being spoken at a distance. It's just noise, this mental activity right now. It's not important. Just tapping into our true qualities, these perfections of the heart. The essential never imposes itself. The unessential constantly imposes itself. Just tapping into our true selves, our higher self. What does that feel like in the body? Breathing in peaceful contentment and breathing out peaceful contentment as we sit with our body relaxed, feeling the safe space of our body. The soft focus, breathing in, concentrating the mind, and breathing out, concentrating the mind. This inner spaciousness that's available right now, if we tap into it, let the qualities of the heart filter into this space, maybe like a warm light, an embodied practice, feeling the softness of our heart, the relaxation of our body, the quietness of mind. All these foundations of mindfulness working together, the body, the feeling tones, the mind. Very dynamic practice. The inner landscape changes with every breath. Just tapping in with persistence, gentle persistence, the persistence of knowing that this practice allows us to drop into a place of these perfections of our heart, our higher self, our higher aspirations, like fine tuning the heart, really being our own inner light and shining that light out into the world. Breathing in into that heart space, feeling this inner light, breathing out, shining this light outward. Breathing in with a soft focus concentration. Breathing out, expanding that spaciousness, that soft focus concentration. Bathing it with the light of our hearts, as if we're looking at the whole sky as it's part of us, feeling that sky is part of us. Little clouds floating across the sky. Could be white puffy clouds or some little storm clouds. They just pass on by, Everything that arises passes away. Just being in the present moment with all that arises. Equanimity, a precious quality of the heart, a very soft quality of our embodied practice. Breathing in to the whole body, breathing out the whole body, feeling that heart space expand to our whole body, breathing out, expanding that heart space. Really dropping in to this embodied practice, feeling our heart, mind, body all interconnected, breathing into that connectedness, expanding it out gentle kindness to ourselves. Breathing into the heart space, breathing out, expanding the heart space, touching all those dear to us right now, those closest to us. Breathing into that heart space, breathing out, expanding that heart space to those all around us, those easy to love or just neutral. Just really sending out this kindness, and with equanimity, breathing into this heart space, and shining that heart space out even more to include those that are not so easy to love. So where there's some challenges, including that into our heart space with equanimity, just really trusting in our practice, knowing that this inner light, like taking a log on fire, that are maybe two like hot coals, and when you bring them together, that's what our Sangha does. This collective energy of meditation, bring two ambers together, it comes more inflamed and bright and warm. It can include all beings, just collectively with our inner sanghas, breathing into this heart space, and breathing out, including all those beings. to the earth. We'll just take a few more breaths here. And I'll invite the closing bell. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.